he's just a really difficult player to deal with. Jalen Hurts is just incredibly difficult. And now I hear people saying he's got 4 passing touchdowns. Who cares?
You got John McMullen back from Arizona, just getting in under the wire. Good to have Johnny Mac back with me, Jody Mac. And we had a third, our pal Chris Franklin from NJ.com, coming us live from the backyard, even though he's only got a hoodie on. Glenn was indoors and had a jacket. I'm not sure why.
Hey, it was a little chilly out there. You know, going from Arizona to the chilly, it's quite a punch in the face, Chris.
It's a shock. It hit me hard because as soon as I was used to it, like that 87 degrees, it was warm.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. Get off the plane. Oh, what the heck just happened? It was a shock, all right.
You're a tough guy. You're back outside again. We'll give you props on that. Let me go here first, since Johnny Mac went where he went earlier in the show. The next coach of the Carolina Panthers will be Jonathan Gannon or Shane Steichen. Which one is it going to be? Who's going to come in and get cherry-picked from the Eagles staff to be the Panthers' next head coach?
I think it's going to be – I really, really think it's going to be – I think it's Steichen. I really do, because I think Carolina's going to be – yeah, because I wouldn't be surprised if Gannon went to something like the Washington, because they have the defensive pieces
that'd
there.
Be great, by the way. That'd be great.
You got the thing. I mean, Nick Sirianni mentioned the Mount Union, John Carroll stuff. Hey, that'd be good. Add that a little bit to there, and you got all that other stuff. So might as well. You might as well have what they there. But I think Shane's going to have the ability to get a decent quarterback and develop whatever quarterback they get down there, and they got some raw pieces there. So
I mean, he's got to finish the deal. But I brought this up on the show because it's amazing how quickly things move. So I'm sure, you know, when these things happen, Matt Rule gets fired. I'm sure you get all the emails, you get all the odds emails,
oh, yeah.
and they put Steichen at 3 behind Sean Payton, who we all know David Tepper won. Sean Payton's not going to Carolina. He's going to have opportunities to go. He's probably going to end up in Dallas when
Dallas.
Yeah, exactly.
The Dallas coach is winning games too, just like Cooper Rush. You got to give him credit.
He'll lose in the playoffs, and Sean Payton can write his own ticket. He's not going to Carolina. And then number 2 is Dan Quinn, who's probably going to be upset at Dallas because he's not going to get their job because they're going to go after Sean Payton. And then number 3 is Shane Steichen. So it's one of those situations where it is what it is. It's betting markets. But it's interesting how you turned into a hot candidate so quickly in the NFL.
Well, when you look at what he's done with Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts, you think, to me, I think behind Payton, I thought Steichen would be at least number 2, because he's proven what he can do with a young quarterback, which is a valuable commodity. And you see nowadays teams aren't going so much when it comes to the defensive side when it comes to the ball. They do sometimes. I mean, you saw Eberflus get hired, some of these other guys, but they tend to trend to younger offensive coaches. So,
yeah, and that hurts Gannon a bit. You got a big Cardinal fan chirping in the background of Shane Steichen.
Cardinals and Blue Jays are just going back and forth.
Sounded like an eagle to me. Maybe I don't know eagle chirping well enough, but yeah, the Eagles.
That's the only Cardinal that won this week.
Yeah, between them and the Blue Jays are fighting. There's a turf war thing going on back here. It's crazy. I don't know, but yeah, it's a bad week to be a Cardinal, though.
Yeah, for both the baseball and football side. All right, John and I were laying out blame earlier. Biggest play of the game, Eagles and Cardinals. Sorry to say, it was a Cardinal offensive play, and it wasn't anything the Eagles did extremely right. The quarterback decided to take a dive, a slide at 9.5 yards when he needed 10, got up, probably didn't know what the down was, may have been misguided by the scoreboard looking up that had gifted the Cardinals a first down that they hadn't earned yet. And they spike the ball, and then they bring out a practice squad kicker who misses a shankopotamus as far quickly right as you could possibly get it. Who was the most to blame on that play? How do you I think we all have to agree from an Eagle perspective, they got lucky. From a Cardinal perspective, they shot themselves in the foot. How do you ferret out the blame on that play?
I probably go, I have to look at the safeties I know they're covering deep, but I think they have to look and they
No,
have their eyes
not on
set
the
on
Eagles.
it.
No, I'm talking about
All
from a
right.
Cardinals
Cardinals
standpoint.
standpoint. Oh, I put that on Murray himself because the quarterback's supposed to know at any time, no matter what the down distance is, where the sticks are, what the whole entire situation. And the fact that he wasn't able to, he started his slide early, not and just dove it and not dives or anything like that for it. Because even if that happened, he could have dove for it, then clocked it afterwards and get the apparent. He should have known. Okay, because the first thing you look at the down marker, you dive in that one. That's to me, that's all completely on Murray because it shouldn't have been that spot to go ahead and clock it
Now,
afterwards.
here's where I gave him a bit of a pass, Chris. So tell me if I'm wrong here. And I put more of the blame on Kingsbury. You know how modern players look at the scoreboards, right? Like if they're breaking out for a long touchdown, they'll look up at the scoreboard to see if somebody's near them or if they're in the distance. It's become ingrained in them. And, whoever the operations guy is at State Farm Stadium, he's probably in trouble because they turned it up. We all saw it. It said first down. And that's why I give, during that drive, it's Dallas week. We talked about Dak Prescott in the playoffs last year. His mistake was not taking the football, handing it to the official, because the official's the one that's got to place it. And all of a sudden they don't get that final playoff. Kyler was doing that, man. He was up on the ball. He was handing the ball to the official, and he made a mistake. He shouldn't have slid. That's where I blame Kyler. But when that big scoreboard says first down, I don't know. I give him a pass on that. I don't give the head coach a pass on that.
Now, he put the team in a position to have to make a decision to spike it or not. If you're a guy who's making as much money as he is now, he got that big contract. You want to be. There's questions about you about all sorts of things about your game, and you have a chance to get that first down for sure. You don't chance and go, well, I'm going to give it. If it's the first quarter, okay,
well, that
I get it.
part, yeah, he can't give himself up. That part, right. I think, is fair criticism. But as far as the 3rd and 1 versus first down, I don't know. I blame that more on Kingsbury, who, by the way, I talked about the betting markets. Next coach to be fired, Matt Rule was obviously fired. Cliff Kingsbury now leading the field.
And he is not doing a good job, but I'll tell you what, you want to talk about pulling the plug early. The Philadelphia Eagles very easily could have been coached by Josh McDaniel.
Oh, yeah.
He stinks on ice. Oh, he's terrible. And I've been saying it for years, and I'm being validated by the job he's doing with the Raiders this year. But one quickie before we get back to the Birds. It just dawned on me. Do you know why Kyler Murray was to blame on that play more so than the coach, whatever? His baseball experience came back to him. He was doing a pickup slide. That's what he was doing. I know. I played baseball 40 years ago, but I used to try and do that. I could never do the pickup slide. You go down and you come right back up. No. If I go down, I'm staying down on a slide. I'm putting all effort into getting to that base as quick as possible. I'm not worried about getting up and moving in advance to another base. That's what Kyler was doing. He was trying to go pick up slide so he could quickly handle the ball to the referee and then be able to get up and spike it. If Kyler Murray wasn't as good a baseball player as he was, he would have dove and made that play and not gone into a slide.
How much you want to bet that they were hoping that he would be the old Mike Vick who couldn't slide at all? He's just stumbling forward. How much you want they want that one over against that one? That was
wanted. That's what you wanted in that situation. You got to put your head down. It was Kirk Cousins against Chicago. Can't run at all. And maybe that I was trying to think about it. We were watching the early games at State Farm Stadium. He needed a first down. He went and got the first down. Kyler Murray didn't go get the first down. That's you need to do that in that situation.
Yep.
I want to compare these two quarterbacks, Chris.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. I think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback. I mean, and I start to think about it, and this is the way I think about it. If I have a bad team, I probably want Kyler Murray to be my quarterback over Jalen Hurts. But if I have a good team, I want Jalen Hurts to be my quarterback over Kyler Murray. Does that make sense?
See, I just take Jalen Hurts in both situations because I think Murray's got the arm talent. I like what he does. He can put touch on the ball, and I see all the stuff he can do physically. But when I look at some of the intangibles, when I look at the off the field stuff, when I look at the way that when it comes to you seeing the stuff with the sideline stuff, the way he acts, so there's still too many things where I'm just looking like, okay, if you put Jalen Hurts on the Cardinals team, that Cardinals team is the one I think is undefeated because you think the little things and
Wow.
the personnel they have on it, and then you got DeAndre Hopkins coming back on that team, they'd be tough to stop.
Well,
So
yeah,
you put,
when
you put Kyler
DeAndre
Murray on this
comes
team.
back, yeah.
You put Kyler Murray on his team, I got some serious questions. I mean, when it comes to a situation where it'd be tight,
Well, that's
play
what I
close in
mean.
the game,
Kyler can't
I don't know.
manage a great team. The Eagles have a good roster. I don't think Kyler can manage a good roster as well as Jalen Hurts. But if I need somebody just to make plays because I don't have other players and just run around like a knucklehead and do off
Oh, I get it
schedule
to you.
stuff.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, that one you guys are buy time is just okay. Let me
Yeah.
roll around and do the family circle thing, bounce around, and then throw it 10 yards downfield. All right, cool. That works that way too. But yeah, in this offense, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts than this one by a lot. I think he's surpassing. Who would have thought we said that last year? He
Didn't
surpassed.
think we were going to get a family circle reference. I like it, Mr. Franklin. Thank you. And oh, by the way, the Eagles are going to try and burn a copy of this tape because you guys just made a really good argument as to why Jalen Hurts needs to be paid more than Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And that would be $230 million with $160 million of it guaranteed. So Eagle fans, get ready. The Eagles are going to have to restructure their team, and not necessarily for this next upcoming year because he's on the final year of his rookie deal. But if they're going to get an extension done, the quarterback payment is going to go up real fast, real high because Jalen is playing as well as he is. And yes, we can all say we don't like it. I remember, quick aside, I had Bobby Clark on once when Mac and Glenn was with us, Howard Devon. We're doing a show together. Bobby Clark said somebody had signed a big contract, and I think Lindor Steele was coming due. He said, I'm not going to be dictated by other contracts in the league. Oh, yeah, you are, Bobby. Yeah. You can say that all you want, but the reality is that's the way sports works. That was 20 years ago. It's still very much that way today. Oh, that's going to dictate how much Jalen Hurts is going to make as much as anybody else. He's going to be comped to the other quarterbacks. And Kyler Murray is as close a comp as you're going to get. And we know what he's making. And both of you guys just said, it's not close. I'll take Jalen Hurts over Kyler Murray.
It's amazing how quickly. And by the way, that development is one of the reasons Shane Steichen is a, hot candidate. And that's kind of how it moves that quickly in the NFL. Now, since what we do is nitpick in certain circumstances, and I said this on our postgame show, and I'm going to say it to you as well, Chris. I don't want to be dramatic, but if I see another damn outside bubble screen, smoke screen, zero screen, I'm going to shoot myself in the face. I'm tired of it. And I'm blaming the quarterback for that because that was a hot read. Some of the scripted stuff, I don't have an issue with. And it worked, by the way. The Dallas Goedert stuff early in the game, they ran that well. But then he just kept going back to it. You got to throw a curveball. You can't do the same thing every time. That I blame the quarterback for. Am I wrong?
I think they were doing it part of the game plan. I think they were reading the box to me a lot. I think they were just going, okay, if there's 7 or more in a box, okay, we're just going to go this and try to supplement that from the outside run game.
Steichen. I can't give him the Carolina job now.
Yeah, he's took it away. Sorry, now I guess they've come back another year now. But it looked a lot like that because when the Cardinals were running that amoeba look, when they had the linebackers starting to move around, they couldn't discern themselves, but they all were within the tackle box. It's like, okay, we don't know which way they're going to go. Okay, go outside and try to get up 2 or 3 yards, and that's fine a couple of times. But I'm shocked the team didn't. I'm shocked they didn't make an adjustment off of that by doing a fake bubble screen and going deep because they were selling out. They were spread out. So it was almost like somebody dropped up. There's a drop of water and it just went that way. So they all spread out horizontally. The vertical was there. The seams were there. They tried to do it like pump fake.
Yeah, you got to show something else. Otherwise, they're just and they kept jumping at the end. They figured out, all right, this is what they're going to do. So maybe there's blame to go on both sides, but you got to throw a curveball in there.
That's an adjustment that I think should have been made late in the third quarter, at least to take a shot to soften up those safeties from coming down a little bit. So I put on the trio, Sirianni, Steichen, and also Hurts. I mean, the three, one of them should have gone like, hey, you know what? Let's try to do something a little different. So taking a shot off of that, and I think they would have. I think would have had success with it.
All right, let's jump back into evaluating the Eagles in the vacuum that was this game against the Cardinals. After allowing the Cardinals to tie it 17-17, Eagles get the ball back, 9 minutes and change to go. 17-play drive, 8 consecutive running plays, take 8 of the 9 and change minutes off the clock before, they had to settle for a field goal and you wanted a touchdown. But that was pretty damn impressive, and that was Eagle getting back to their DNA, that they know they've got that trump card, and when they have to play it, they can play it. We can just go mano a mano with our offensive line against your defensive line, and we're going to win because we have that much faith in our offensive line, guys. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Chris Franklin?
It's a good thing. It's good because I think it's when in doubt, and I know we just talked about bubble screens. Even if they had 7 or 8 guys in the box, they've had success with that. Teams have done this in the past where they loaded everybody up, and the Eagles have still found a way to get creases and still move the ball down the field, and it wears you down. It helps you in the fourth quarter. And when in doubt, if you need to settle things down, because you had that patchwork offensive line for most of the game, and then so the fact that you're trying to throw that much, I questioned that a little bit because okay, you got Opeta now. It was like basically look, most of the second unit was on the left side. So
yeah,
I think when in doubt that this team has to go back on a run. It doesn't have to be a pass thing.
I know
but
here's the way I was asking the question. If you want to dismiss me again, feel free. They're 2 for 2 at doing this year. When they needed to do it against the Lions, they did it. Ran the 4 minutes off the clock. Thank you. Drive home safely, Detroit. And they did it again for the most part. All right, they didn't get the touchdown, but they got 8 of the 9 minutes off the clock, and they scored. That's
and all 3 timeouts, by the way. And
right.
all 3 timeouts.
They made them use 2. They got lucky on that third one.
Yeah,
the
defensive player got hurt. Though. That's the rules. So yeah, I mean,
they burned all 3 timeouts. There was some luck involved in this Eagle win, and that was part of it. But it's not a given. We like to think it's a given. 2 for 2 is 2 for 2. But do you have any fear whatsoever that the Eagles thinking in that direction? Well, when in doubt, we can just run. We can just stick it up their rear ends when we need to because we're that good. Is there any fear that they might be too good at it and might just take it for granted that they're that good a running team?
Not at all. You do what you do best, and you live and die by that. And this team is a better running thing. You got to, if you're going to go ahead and if you're going to have success the way they've had success, you got to go back and not rely on throwing the ball all the time and giving them more time. So this team runs the ball well. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Why not use them and pound it and ground and pound and get 6 yards that way?
Now, one of the things, and I thought Nick explained this pretty well. You have this narrative that, all right, this is not sustainable because Jalen ran it 15 times again. That's a lot of runs for a quarterback. But how many of those 15 were design runs? Not very many, but other than the quarterback sneaks. So you had the off schedule, the real design runs, read option, whatever you want to call it, quarterback sneaks, which don't count. How many quarterback sneaks did they have? Which, by the way, are all successful.
Right.
Every single one of them.
6 points. Thank you very much.
Yeah. There's very little danger on quarterback sneak plays. So really, of that 15 carries, how many were design runs? He's just a really difficult player to deal with. Jalen Hurts is just incredibly difficult. And now I hear people saying he's got 4 passing touchdowns. Who cares?
I don't get what people. This is me personally. It's to me. I just always feel like, okay, if you do whatever wins the game, then that one too. Well, you didn't do it this way, so it doesn't count. Like, no, you just continue trying to do what you do the best. I never understood that. Well, you only have 4 touchdowns. Well, you can't throw the ball through. It doesn't matter as long as you look on that scoreboard and they get more points than the other team. That's what I thought was the more important thing. So if he's getting 4 touchdowns, but if he's moving the ball through the air, say from 20 to 20, all of a sudden they decide to go ground and pound and get it that way too. It works too. So
Johnny Mac, I'm going to ask you to look something up real quick. I'm asking Chris this question. Safeties rankings for Pro Football Focus so far this year. I'm specifically looking at Marcus Williams of the Baltimore Ravens because John has told us, and a lot of others have reported, the Eagles uber aggressive in trying to get him. The price just went a little higher than they thought he was worth, so they backed off, and he ended up with Baltimore. But the Eagles really wanted him to be their other safety, of course, for Marcus Epps last year. The Raven defense on the back end has been terrible this year, so I'm assuming I don't watch every snap of their games like I do the Eagles, that he hasn't played all that well. Fractured his wrist, dislocation. He's going to be gone months, as in that's 8 weeks minimum. Did the Eagles have the karma thing going for them this year? In addition to being 5-0 and doing everything right on their own, the guy they really wanted as a free agent wasn't playing well, and he's hurt. The guy they wanted to hire as the coach 2 years ago, Josh McDaniel, sucks with the Raiders. Thank you very much for holding out for Nick Sirianni, Jeff Lurie. Is there a karma thing going on here?
And don't forget Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, even though the Eagles.
And two more. Thank you very much, Johnny Mac.
Yeah. The Eagles would like you to forget that.
It never happened. You never saw it. That Men in Black thing flashing out, never did that. But yeah, I mean, every year you need a little bit of luck. I mean, nobody's on the skills. It's rarely you see a team that's dominant that goes throughout the thing. I mean, look at the Super Bowl year. We had Jake Elliott making a 60-plus yard field goal. Like, who does that on a regularity? You need a little bit of luck along the way. And they sure, when you look at a lot of those names that worked out, I have questions about when it comes to Marcus Williams and the system he's in. Given that Wink Martindale's up north now, I think that he would have done better with Wink as his defensive coordinator. But I look at that, and also he's got to worry about Kyle Hamilton on the side down there too. But what another guy that looking now, I still think, you know what, maybe they dodged a bullet with that too. You got Jordan Davis to Kyle Williams.
I think, I don't know. I haven't watched much Baltimore Raven football this year. He was playing pretty well according to Pro Football Focus. He's 14th really? Best safety.
All right, so it's not on him. It's on the corners then.
I think he would have been a perfect fit here because I know how the Eagles play defense, and it's a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of cover two at times, and you spin off into whatever you're going to spin off into. And he's a great coverage safety, so I think he would have been a perfect fit here. I don't know what they're doing in Baltimore, but he's a good player. But and it's one the Eagles missed out on. That's not one where I don't think they're lucky. You can never project injuries. That part of it. I mean, you can't legislate injuries. I say that all the time. They'd be a better football team if Marcus Williams was here because he's a better player than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. But they made do, and they got at least an upgrade. So I give Howie Roseman credit for that. But the McDaniel stuff, yeah, they shouldn't have even interviewed him, never mind considered him. And the Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson stuff, I mean, Nathaniel Hackett, we talk about Josh McDaniels. Well, Nathaniel Hackett might be worse than Josh McDaniels, if that's possible. So there's some issues there with Russell. But I don't know. I don't think anybody saw this coming from Jalen Hurts. I don't think the Eagles saw it coming. I don't think you saw it coming, Chris Franklin. I certainly didn't see it coming. If somebody did see it coming, maybe it was Jalen Hurts, but I don't know who else.
Yeah, I thought he'd have a better year, and I didn't think he'd be at this level. I didn't think you say safely right now he's a top 5 quarterback. I thought he'd be good just having like a 10, 12 around that range. But the fact that he's playing at a high level, that he's getting a lot more touch on those balls. Like his mechanics are so refined right now. It looks so much better. That one play where he scrambled in the first quarter, got out to roll to his left, where everybody says, "Oh, he scrambled to his left. He's going to have issues." Well, then he resets his feet and throws it.
Yeah. Tom House is making more money, man.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it on this, Chris. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, does Tom House get a Super Bowl ring?
He better. He better send him 2, 3, 4, whatever.
Adam. I always say Tom because I can't pronounce Adam's name. Adam Deju, however you pronounce it. He does more of the heavy lifting, so he deserves the Super Bowl.
And they better buy that. They better buy the see if he can get his services for the rest of the time, like 10-year contract. Because if he can do that for Hurts, might as well keep him around and do whatever he does.
He should get a percentage of that.
Hey, if Jeff Lurie gave my buddy Howard Eskin a Super Bowl ring when they won in 2017, wearing his furs on the sidelines, he can spring for a Super Bowl ring for both the Jalen Hurts quarterback coaches to get his.
Freaking Jeffrey sprung for everybody. Every employee of that organization got a Super Bowl ring that I know of. Full-time employee.
Here's guys who would get one: Tom House, Dado, and John's favorite defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, who is apparently consulting with the Eagles.
And by the way, I don't know why people say that, because I hate this scheme. I hate quarters coverage.
You reference him on a daily basis, Johnny Mac.
I reference him on a daily basis because I'm trying to teach the Eagles fans how the Eagles play defense. They use Vic Fangio's scheme. Half the league uses big scheme now. It drives me insane. I don't.
But he's only getting one Super Bowl ring, and if he's getting it from the Eagles because they win it, and he is actually a quote unquote consultant for the Eagles. Report on Bleeding Green Nation this morning that he is being paid a fee.
He was here. He was here a bunch over the summer, but he was doing a tour around the NFL. He might be consultant. He might be one of those deals. He might be consulting with multiple teams because they all use a stinking defense.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's either a senior defensive assistant or defensive coordinator here next year if Gannon goes. I really would not be surprised at all.
He's a Philly guy. He's He's
always a possibility. CF, always a pleasure, brother. We'll get you back up again next week. You get to hang out Sunday night with McMullen, and then join us early in the week thereafter. You'll be so tired of looking at him by the time.
I'm already hitting you up. You're getting up early, 9:20 post game. Chris Franklin.
I'll be ready to go. I'll be like Eflin. I'll be ready to go on short rest. I'm ready to throw.
He'll be outside with the Blue Jays or the Orioles or whatever the hell the birds he's got.
And read backyard. Chris at NJ.com at Chris at C Franklin News with our buddy Les Bowen. NJ.com.
Chris, always great stuff. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good one now.
Chris.